In Crisis in the Muslim Mind, Abdul Hamid Abdul Abu Sulaiman discussed the intellectual stagnation in the Muslim world, especially regarding modern challenges. He argued that the decline of Islamic civilization is largely due to internal factors, particularly intellectual paralysis. The book critiques the reliance on taqlid, blind imitation, and tawfiq for its solution, which hinder the Muslim world ability to adapt to modernity. Abu Sulaiman highlighted the early Islamic intellectual tradition, which integrate revelation, reason, and ijtihad, fostering a flourishing civilization. He advocates for a renewal of Islamic thought that merged tradition with modern insight, urging an intellectual reawakening to address contemporary issues.
Today I would like to summarize about chapter 1 from the Sulaiman book. First of all, no scholar of the Ummah will find it difficult to identify the current cultural backwardness, political degradation, and human misery despite its material and people riches, as well as its idea and principle. According to Al-Alwani 2005, Muslims have made it their mission to either reconcile the Islamic perspective of life, humanity, and the universe with the principle of the Western perspective, or to reconcile the Western perspective with their own during the 20th century and most of the last century. Besides that, Sulaiman claimed that the Ummah had been in decline for a few centuries, with the exception of a few isolated geographical areas. All of it was ruled by European imperial authority. Next, we go to alternative that available to the Ummah according to Sulaiman. The first one is imitative foreign solution. This is method that has gained popularity among Muslims. It was initially embraced more than 200 years ago when the European military faced against the Turkish Osmaniyah Empire. This is frequently referred as the foreign solution and involves using ideas that are essentially derived from the materialist and secular cultural experience of the modern West. Next, imitative historical solution. This implies depending on answer drawn from historical experience of Islam, irrespective of temporal and location-related issues. Nevertheless, this method inevitably ignores local, ummatic, and temporal factors. It has consistently failed in recent years to satisfy the demands of contemporary life and the forces that are hostile to the Ummah's and its thoughts existence. And the last one is Islamic Asalah solution, which aims to apply pertinent answer to the issues facing the Ummah that are obtained from genuine Islamic sources. As its name suggests, the goals, principles, values, and concepts of this method are derived from Islam. According to Sulaiman's work, it is clear that claiming differently that Islam is the foundation of both the historical imitative method and the modern Islamic Asalah approach is insufficient because Islam is a part of both. And go to the crux of the crisis and the future of the Ummah. The Ummah's conception of an Islamic viewpoint has remained ambiguous despite the many unsuccessful attempts to apply foreign or conventional answers to its challenge. This misperception is a direct outcome of what our adversaries have spread among us through their manipulation of the media, education, and society. Also, the gap between theory and practice grew increasingly pronounced over time, making the crisis in the Muslim mind harder to overlook. That's all for me. Thank you.
Summarizing of Chapter 2, the traditional methodology of Islam thought, assessment and critique. The crisis of the Ummah lies in its conceptual approach, not resources. The intellectual leadership, separation from societal responsibility, halted intellectual and scientific growth. Its inability to adapt to change is the core issue. Reform required restructuring the methodology of Muslim thought to address challenges and drive progress. Next, Al-Usul, definition and clarification. Usul al-Fiqh or juridical sources methodology is a key component of classical Islamic thought. Initially, it integrated revelation with reason and ijtihad for societal guidance. However, after political and intellectual divine, scholars focus slowly on personal aspects of the Quran and Sunnah, neglecting broader social issues. Next, Sharia and non-Sharia science. Islamic science are clarified as a Sharia or non-Sharia, which Sharia science focusing on legal interpretation of Al-Quran. Sunnah, and related to disciplines. Theology, influenced by Greek philosophy, become a source of divine and weakness, hindering the Ummah ability to guide societal development and creating a dichotomy with legal science. Furthermore, the neglect of social science. Traditional Islamic thought prioritized theoretical and linguistic study of the Quran and Sunnah, neglecting interpretation and practical relevance. This reliance of rigid methodologies, skillful ijtihad, thought exceptional scholars excel due to engagement with social and practical contexts. Reviving ijtihad requires integrating contemporary science and addressing the Ummah broader societal challenges and objectively. In addition, the conflict between reason and revelation. The Ummah intellectual political estrangement created a false conflict between reason and revelation, dividing theology and fiqh. Misinterpretation, like rigid nas concept, ignore context, and involving prophetic mission. Addressing contemporary challenge requires flexible, content-aware interpretation of Quran teaching, guiding by prophet historical policies to navigate operation, weakness, and territorial power dynamic. Last but not least, our intellectual heritage, past, present, and future. The Ummah progress require abandoning blaming, learning from history positive aspect, and rejecting tawfiq and taklid. An independent Islamic methodology must emerge, reflecting authentic value while welcoming external and achievement. Historical setbacks stem from unprepared leadership, highlighting the need to regain Islam's original vision to recharge the source of their future progress.
Summarizations of Chapter 3 by Prof. Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman. The Islamic world community has been entrusted with the responsibility toward itself and history to perform the duties of vicegerency, Khalifah, and reform civilizations by the noble principle of Islam. If humankind wish to appreciate the nature of Islamic thought and methodology and hopes to understand the goal Islam seeks to achieve, it is essential to first comprehend the concept of the seen and the unseen in Islam. Next, the sources of Islamic methodology are divided into three, which are revelations, wahyu, reason, and the universe. Revelations or wahyu as a source of knowledge and guidance in human life. It is true that Allah revealed to His messenger so that they might convey His commandments to humankind and guide them in understanding the meaning and purpose of their existence. Reason is the instrument humans use to understand, distinguish, and compare insight, and it is how they carry out responsibility in the seen world. It is reason that distinguishes between true wahyu and falsehood, between misleading light, fabrication, and might. Thus, the two sources, wahyu and reason, are integrated with the universe to enable humans to realize the purpose of creation and fulfill the role of Khalifa. In a nutshell, it is important that in the study of Islamic methodology, humans should not confuse the sources of Islamic knowledge, wahyu, reason, and the natural law of the universe with the method for conducting research and study. Every scientific field has its means suit to it. Islamic discipline must be based on wahyu, reason, and the law and standard Allah imposed on creations. After that, Islamic methodology is guided by three fundamental principles, which are unicity, vicegerency, Khalifah, and responsibility. These principles shape the Muslim mind approach to understanding life and the universe, directing intellectual and creative efforts progressively. In addition, the Muslim fitrah reflects the concept of the objectivity of truth by recognizing human as finite beings in a finite universe governed by precise law. Guided by revelations, wahyu, the Muslim mind gain insight to accept and interact with this universal law, understanding life purpose. The Islamic perspective on the freedom of worship is that humankind is free to choose the ideology it believes in and adheres to, whether it is Islam or anything else. To understand the aspect of human free will and Islamic practice, individuals must learn to distinguish between the different concepts involved. According to Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman, freedom is divided into three, which are freedom of belief, freedom of decisions, freedom of will, and responsibility, and freedom of thought. Besides that, the principle of tawakkul. Tawakkul means trust in Allah and acceptance of His divine decree, qada and qada in all aspects of life. In addition, tawakkul is not at the same tawakkul, fatalistic acceptance. Tawakkul is a Muslim trust and acceptance of the divine predicate, which no one can know or understand or control except Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. After that, the causality is a fundamental concept in the life and thought of Muslim. Fitrah and Aqidah explain that Allah created the universe subject to laws and standards, and then entrusted it to humanity to care and strive to civilize and reform. Therefore, the Muslim mind and fitrah can only fulfill their responsibility of directing and shaping creations by adopting the appropriate means and striving to apply them in all areas of life. Lastly, since the methodology of Islamic thought is distinguished by the comprehensiveness of its scope, it must also be characterized by the comprehensiveness of its means. Life in all its aspects in the field of applications for Muslims, they are obligated to understand, seek knowledge, and use every available means to direct their life towards their goals.
Islam places significant emphasis on pursuing knowledge as both a religious duty and a means of human and spiritual development. This emphasis is grounded in the Quran, particularly the first revelation that commands read. Knowledge in Islam encompasses all fields, including the natural science, humanities, and social science.
However, it must undergo an Islamization process to align with Islamic principles, revelation and moral values. Professor Abdul Hamid Abu Sulaiman advocates for establishing Islamic civilizational science that engage with modern knowledge while preserving Islamic intellectual traditions. Islamic social science differ from secular approach in grounding ethical and moral values derived from Islam. The knowledge is not seen as a merely intellectual curiosity but must serve a higher purpose aligned with divine guidance. Islamic academic efforts focus on promoting justice, equality and holistic development, integrating intellectual, moral and spiritual growth. Professor Abdul Hamid views that the study of social science and humanities in Islam is based on two key premises. First, the overarching Islamic values that shape human existence and societal development, and the second, specific academic frameworks that guide each discipline according to Islamic principles. Effort to Islamize social science require a strong academic foundation, including the classification of Islamic texts and their contextual analysis to ensure their proper understanding and application. Modern technology plays a crucial role in spreading Islamic knowledge, offering easy access to resources like the Quran and Hadith. Researchers and scholars are encouraged to critically engage with Islamic intellectual heritage and utilize modern tools for compiling and disseminating knowledge to ensure the continued growth of Islamic academic thought.
The Islamic perspective on knowledge requires unique approaches for each scientific field, particularly in the social science. Muslim scholars must apply Islamic principles in areas like sociology, psychology and political science to meet the need of the Ummah and produce relevant results. The Islamization of knowledge, especially in behavioral science, is foundational for addressing human nature, societal dynamic and societal institution. This process is essential for the Islamization of other fields such as economics and education. Developing graduate programs and research facilities in this area will provide a platform for scholars to create Islamic alternatives that align with values and addresses contemporary challenges. Next, the Islamization of education arose in response to the failures of Westernization and the need to address Muslim social, political and economic challenges. It aims to align fields like education, politics and economics with Islamic values. Reform in education is essential, focusing on Islamic principles, character development and practicing teaching methods. The current system of a shallow phase to meet deeper emotional and psychological needs. Inspire the Prophet's nurturing approach. Education should foster love, care and self-confidence in youth. A reformed Islamized educational system integrated with social science is a key to overcoming challenges and strengthening the Ummah position globally. Islamization of political science focuses on aligning political system, institution and leadership with Islamic values. It stresses reshaping the Ummah political philosophy and education, emphasizing justice, truth and shura instead of Western and Eastern models. Political leadership should reflect Islamic principles fostering trust, active participation and moral decision making. Shura ensures collective values-driven decision contrasting with materialistic Western approaches. The Islamic political system prioritizes the common good, freedom of thought and faith while adapting to contemporary realities. Islamization aims to establish a just, cohesive political order based on truth, justice and the empowerment of the Ummah to address modern challenges. Furthermore, the Islamization of science and technology responds to Western dominance, which often separates science from spiritual and ethical concerns. Muslims have recognized that Western science is shaped by a materialistic secular worldview and fails to address spiritual dimensions. Islamic thought integrates reason with revelation, guiding scientific inquiry toward both temporal and spiritual needs. The Islamization of knowledge in science involves providing a framework that aligns scientific advancements with ethical and moral principles. By using science to serve humanity and addressing global challenges, Islam aims to create constructive ethical approach to technology and serving as a model for the world and contributing to societal reform and development.
Professor Abdul Hamid views that the process of reformation is essential for both the Ummah and humanity, focusing on three key areas. The first is the future of the Ummah, second, the role of academic institutions in Islamization, and the last is development of an Islamic worldview. Professor Abdul Hamid believes that youth are central to this reformation as they hold the energy, creativity and resilience to drive positive change. Their formal development should start at home with parents, shaping their emotional, psychological and intellectual growth, followed by teachers who guide them in moral, social and academic areas. So, scholars and thinkers are also vital, responsible for reforming the Ummah's thought, restoring Islamic principles and contributing to education, politics, economics and more. Islamic academic institutions have a crucial role in Islamizing knowledge by creating programs and departments that integrate Islamic principles with academic disciplines such as Islamic economics, communication and civilization. These institutions must recruit qualified scholars who bridge Islamic thought with modern social science. The integration of rational knowledge with Islamic teaching ensures that empirical knowledge is refined and applied responsibly in society. Like USIM, campus development continues to give comfort to students and faculty to go further, especially in the core areas of Islamic studies by integrating the Naqli and Aqli knowledge. Islamization of knowledge should be a central focus for the Ummah, not just as a political strategy, but also as a foundational steps to strengthen the intellectual and academic framework of Muslim societies. This comprehensive approach, combining intellectual, political, and academic efforts, is essential for the Ummah to regain its rightful place in global civilization. It is not merely about political power, but also about developing a solid ideas and capable leadership for lasting reform.
In conclusion, Abu Sulaiman analysed the intellectual stagnation in the Muslim world in colonialism, declining critical thinking and rigid interpretation of Islam. He advocates for intellectual renewal through education reform, promoting independent thinking, creativity and problem solving. He urges Muslims to reconcile tradition with modernity, cultivating a vibrant, innovative intellectual culture capable of contributing meaningfully to global progress.